If you're in the business of publishing books on the Amazon platform, are you ever worried about breaking the rules? I know quite a few of you are, and there are some that you may know about and some that you may not know about, and other things in between. So today we're going to talk about how to publish books on Amazon without breaking the rules. Stay tuned. This is Self-Publishing with Dale, where you'll learn to publish books that sell and build an unstoppable brand. Stick around to the end so I share exactly how you can safeguard your account against termination or suspension at the very minimum. Also, if you haven't had the opportunity yet and you're new to the business of self-publishing on Amazon, you may want to take a look at my Self-Publishing for Beginners video. Okay, so this video is going to be for people that have published on Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing or published somehow onto Amazon, be it through an aggregate publisher, or are planning on doing this. Today I'm going to talk about the 8 most common violations when it comes to terms of service and community guidelines. 1. Opening multiple KDP accounts. This one, believe it or not, a lot of people get messed up. And you might be saying, well, Dale, why do people open up multiple accounts? A couple of times it could be by accident because they forget their login and so they just do another one. And other times some people want to split off into different brands and they want to separate their accounts. Sadly, according to terms of service, you can only have one KDP account per household. In the event that you want to, say, split off and use different accounts, you may want to reach out to the KDP team and tell them exactly what your plans are. And they'll clarify whether or not you can or cannot do that. In most instances, you probably can't do that. Now, if for some reason you function much like my wife and I do, we have 2 separate business entities and it's not an issue. And I think early on we might have reached out to the KDP team and it was not an issue and we haven't had a problem since day one. So stay clear of doing multiple KDP accounts. Don't try to game the system. Quite frankly, they'll just terminate your account and you're going to be starting square one from somewhere else. Summary books or unofficial guides. Okay, don't get too caught up on this one and going, that's going to get me suspended or terminated. It's worked for some people and other people it doesn't work so well. Now, summary books could be something as simple as, say, like the book by Tony Robbins, Unleash the Power Within. Someone could probably do a summary book, and it seems like a good idea, and it seems like it would be very profitable, and there have been some people on the market that have done it pretty well. Unfortunately, it gets into that gray area, and I've known of some people having their accounts suspended or books being blocked or even having their accounts terminated altogether. I would highly recommend you just steer clear of the summary books and unofficial guides because it may get you into hot water at some point or another. Price gouging. This is a fairly interesting phenomenon that actually was shared on the Book Marketing podcast with Dave Chesson when he had guest Derek Depker on. They talked a little bit about when CreateSpace used to have this weird fluke. You would, say, for instance, have your paperback priced at $8.99, and then you decided to, say, bump it up to $19.99. Well, what ends up happening is it almost always corrects on Amazon's platform to that higher price point, but because you might have chosen expanded distribution, what happens is it takes a while and a bit of a delay to communicate with the expanded distribution platforms about that price change. It can take upwards of 6 to 8 weeks. So Amazon immediately says, oh wait, hang on a second, it's at a cheaper price somewhere else, we're going to price match. So it'll cross that line out and drop it down. Well, the nice thing is, and this is where it becomes a little bit of a heartache and hassle, is they will pay you at that higher price point via any sales that come through Amazon. Now, a lot of you ne'er-do-wells are probably saying, how can I work this system? Well, people have tried and they have been successful, but in the same instance, they've also been successful in failing at this because ultimately what ends up coming back is Amazon comes in and says, no, you can't do that. We know what you're doing. You're gaming the system to try to get your paycheck up higher. So folks, don't do that. Price gouging should not be something within your business strategy because eventually it'll come back to bite you. If you do plan on increasing your prices of your print books, then do it because you see the value in your product, not because you see the value in Amazon giving you a larger paycheck. Falsified page reads. As you may know, if your ebook is enrolled in the KDP Select program, you're paid for each page that is read through the Kindle Unlimited program or the Kindle Owners Lending Library. And with each page flip, it also increases your bestseller rank. It's a little bit of the unfair advantage I talked a little bit about inside the KDP Select review video. But there are many ways that falsified page reads, or even some things that lead to false positives for something like this, that you need to be aware of. So let's talk about each one of these underneath this before we move on to the other issues. Internal linking. Now, let's not be mistaken. You can internally link within your book and send people from one chapter to the next, but you can't directly coerce the reader at the very beginning of the book to click to the very end of the book. And you're probably saying, well, I don't understand. What does that have to do with anything? Well, here's the deal. You can coerce somebody to go to the back of the book, and it'll send a signal to Kindle Direct Publishing that that person has read the entire book. Can you say scam? Absolutely. You're gaming the system if you're doing something like that, and I recommend you don't do it. In fact, this actually happened back in late 2015 to 2016 until pretty much the folks over at KDP said, enough, stop that. We see what you're doing. You're gaming the system, and quite frankly, we don't appreciate it. Hiring VAs for nefarious purposes. I understand that hiring virtual assistants is sometimes a necessity, especially when you start to scale your business. But if you're hiring them to do certain practices to escalate or raise up your book's rank or get more sales or get more page reads, then it's wrong. You shouldn't be doing that. In fact, some of the practices include having them check out your book through various accounts and flip through that so it increases your bestseller ranking. Not good, not cool. There are many indie authors out there struggling, and what you're doing is taking food off their table they'd otherwise have. If your book's not good enough for your reader to read from front to back, you shouldn't be hiring out VAs to flip through your book. You should be hiring probably VAs or professional editors to clean up your manuscript so people are compelled to read to the back instead of gaming the system. And the other thing is click farms. You've heard this probably before, but if you haven't, let me kind of break it down. Essentially, the search engine algorithm, as I've discussed here on this channel before, functions on engagement. And the more clicks that come to your specific product page, the more it raises relevancy. Well, click farms work in the regards that they'll come in and they'll click repeatedly onto your product page through various nefarious means. I know this is my common recurring word, but nonetheless, what ends up happening is it raises relevancies, but it's doing it in a false way, and it's doing it in a way that is just, it's dirty, it's sleazy. And so some of these click farms, of course, are going to be the same type of people that will go into your book and flip through it or click a link to the back of it so it registers in the Kindle Unlimited program, raises your rank, and raises your paycheck. Not cool. Bonus books. They closed up this loophole this past year in 2018, and I was really happy to see this because a number of years ago I seen quite a few of these would-be self-publishing gurus stating that you could really work the system of KDP Select by putting a bunch of bonus books into one book. Yeah, it makes sense to deliver extra value to your readers, but you shouldn't do it in a way that it games the system to where you're getting more page reads. So let's just take, for instance, you have a short story, and maybe it's 12 pages long. And let's say that you have a back catalog of 20 to 40 short stories. Well, these people would take and put those into that short story, so we would make it almost novel length, in fact, even the size of an Encyclopedia Britannica. And then if someone flipped through the pages, then naturally they would end up getting paid far more in the Kindle Unlimited library or the KDP Select program than if they were actually to get a purchase of that short story book. So Amazon came in and was like, we see what you're doing, you're gaming the system, and it's not cool. And I know that this got a lot of indie authors really worked up, the people that really love this craft, the people, quite frankly, that are kind of have the same mindset that I do, that, you know, this is just not right. So Amazon came in, and the official rule is that if you're going to have a bonus book, it cannot make up more than 10% of the entire book. So that means if you've got a short story, you can have bonus content. So that same 10-page short story that we were talking about before, your bonus content better not be more than about a page length. Unpublish, republish. Oh my goodness. This one, for some reason, just gets my goat. It just drives me insane. I've even talked about this a couple of years ago. So here's the deal. There's a 30-day window that Amazon allots towards new publications. So if you just publish something, 30 days, they kind of put a little bit of gas on the fire there. They provide not only just your category of your particular book, but they give an additional category specific to new releases in that particular niche. So it gives more exposure and it gets it to where it's more searchable, and it really helps in getting your publication out there. So let's just say, for instance, there's some best-selling book. It's been there for years at #1. Unfortunately, you'll never be able to take that #1 spot just being a new author or brand new to the business. So they put that new release category, also known as the hot new releases back in the day. They would allow that to be that spotlight. Here are the books that are doing good in the past month or so, and we want you to see it. But herein lies the problem. What happens after that first 30 days? Well, if you don't have a good business plan or good marketing and promotion plan, then that book tends to just drop off. And that's not good. Everybody can agree with that. Well, someone figured out in their infinite wisdom that all you had to do was just unpublish or delist that book and then just republish it underneath a different ASIN. In other words, like it's a brand new product. You put it back on the market and start that 30-day window again as if it was a brand new publication. All the reviews from the previous version would end up getting wiped out. So if there was any low reviews of some sort, those get wiped out, and this is a brand new publication with no reviews on it. It's brand new. It's got, and here's the funny thing is they would never change the title, the subtitle, or anything within the contents. It was the same exact book, and they're just working the system. So the unpublish and republish thing is pretty much, to my knowledge, gone. There are some people that have tried to take advantage of this system, but rest assured, Amazon has a watchful eye on things like that. So I'd recommend that if your book isn't doing good after the first 30 days, if you're going to delist it, just keep it off the market. The poor customer experience. Yes, here's the funny thing. A lot of people said Amazon doesn't care. Well, we can make the argument back and forth about whether they care about us, the indie author, or the people that are publishing through their platform. But one thing we can agree on is they care about their customers' experience. Because if the customers aren't happy, then they're not going to come back and buy from them, and they're not going to make money. So they've got a nifty little button there on your product page. And if for some reason they don't like it, if they found that it was really bad, yeah, they can put a 1-star review and they can troll you, till the cows come home. But at this point, one of the most effective tools to the person that doesn't like your publication is called report abuse. And they can scroll on down and say exactly why they've had a poor customer experience. And if you get enough complaints, they'll come in there and they'll shut that account down. And I've known quite a few self-publishers that have had their accounts shut down. And in even one of the instances, someone was using Google Translate for numerous iterations of their book. And what they would do is fully disclose that it was done through, it might even have been Google Translate, could have been in some other software. They fully disclose, yes, the translation might be slightly off, but you get the point. No, they didn't get the point, and what they did was they reported abuse and said, okay, this is stupid. I'm paying money for Google Translate. Are you kidding me? So they're asking for refunds and reporting abuse, and accounts get shut down. Don't create a poor customer experience. If you cannot provide good publications, don't bother putting it onto the market. Review swaps. Here we go. This one's gonna light everybody afire because there's some people that go, review swaps are good for you. No account has ever been shut down, Dale. Listen, folks. First of all, calm down. Let's talk about review swaps and exactly what they are. It is a quid pro quo system to where an author will exchange their book with another author. And it started out innocent enough. In fact, way long ago, back at the advent of KDP, Amazon was all for author review swaps. But then the ne'er-do-wells came on in and they started to hire out other people to exchange these reviews, but they weren't legit reviews. They were just fake reviews. Quite frankly, if you're hiring out to get fake reviews on your book just so you can get better exposure, shame on you. What you're doing is wrong. Putting fake reviews on a product is just, there's no other way to put it. It's sleazy, it's wrong. Shame on you for doing that. And no, it's not good for beginners, and no, it's not good for anyone at all within the self-publishing industry. In fact, you're putting a black eye on this business, and if you're gonna do something like that, move on. And then there's the argument that some people say, well, Amazon's got enough money, they can go ahead and give it to me, so it doesn't matter if I have fake reviews. Remember, this doesn't start out as Amazon's money. This starts out as a customer's money. And if you're putting fake reviews on your products so they come in and purchase it with the belief that it's great, it's stellar, oh, it's got 25 5-star reviews and 0 no stars, well, that's where it gets really iffy. It gets really strange because you're not stealing from Amazon. You're stealing from your mother, your father, your brother, your neighbor, your friends, your family, everybody else in between. You're stealing from them and not just Amazon. So when it comes to review swaps and fake reviews, stop doing it. Are they banning accounts? Are they terminating or are they suspending? No, but as I'd mentioned before, community guidelines is a big one. And this is where I'm going to go full disclosure on you. A number of years ago, I was told that review swaps were 100% okay, and I believed it, and I read every single book I would review swap because I love reading, and I would put together the finest reviews on the market, and I was like, yeah, and I get these, well, and I'm like, oh, this is garbage, what happened here? And then I come to find out what the real process was, and sadly, it was too little too late, because Amazon came in there and revoked my community privileges. I can no longer leave reviews. I can't comment on reviews. I can't do so much as participate in any things involved in the community guidelines. So if I ever want to do a free giveaway through Amazon, can't do it. It's not allowed because I had those privileges revoked from me. Now, will your account get terminated or suspended remains to be seen, but rest assured, if there's some kind of iffy black hat tactics attached to your book and your account, then you're definitely grabbing the attention of Amazon KDP at some point. But that's not it when it comes to mistakes that you can make within this business. In fact, I have a full video series based on the biggest mistakes you can avoid in self-publishing, and I started out with my story behind plagiarism and how it could have nearly completely put me out of business. You're going to want to make sure that you go take a look at that video, and I'll see you there. Outsourced writer access to my account? Or did I allow my hired freelancer free reign on the entire project? It was one simple step that requires very little work.